Hello students, welcome to Legacy Academy. In this particular video, we are going to continue with our mapping series and we are going to study in detail today about the important mountain ranges of India. Now, first of all, obviously the most important mountain system that we have in India, in the northern part of India, is the Himalayas. So, if you look at the Himalayas, they are somewhere we can say located between the Indian plate in the south and you have the Eurasian plate on the north as such. Now, if you keep an eye out on the mountain here, you can see that as you cross the Himalayas, you enter into the Tibetan Plateau, and on the other side of Tibetan Plateau extending in China from Central Asia, you have another mountain range that is called as Kunlun Mountain. So, Tibetan Plateau is a example of what we can call as the inter-mountain plateau, that is a plateau located between two different mountain ranges here. If you briefly look at the geological history of formation of Himalayas, somewhere about 10 million years ago, 10 to 40 million years, if you talk about the time range, if you look here, Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate, and due to this collision, we have continent-continent convergence. We know that as a result of continent-continent convergence, the rocks and the sediments in the collision zone gets upfolded. This folding of sediment result into formation of a fold mountain system, of which Himalaya is an example of. So before, as we can see, Indian landmass used to be to the south of equator. It kept moving to the north, and that is when you have collision led to formation of Himalayas. That's the brief geological history to talk about. Now, Himalaya itself is not a single mountain, not a single range of mountain. Rather, it is divided into three major mountain ranges. For example, it is divided into, from the north, if you start, you have the Great Himalayas, as you can see from this particular map here, all the way from the Jammu and Kashmir going to the Arunachal Pradesh is the region what we call as the Great Himalayas. Overall, it is the tallest region of Himalayas, or we can say it is the tallest range of Himalayas with an average height of 6,120 meter. Similarly, it's not very wide range. It is very narrow, and its width is roughly about 25 kilometers. Overall, from west to east, it is extended up to a length of 2,500 kilometers. So we can say it is not only the loftiest mountain system of the India, but also it is the longest mountain range of India as well. Apart from that, also Great Himalaya shows a symmetrical kind of slope. That means if you look at the southern slope of Himalayas, it is much more steeper compared to its northern slope, which seems to be gently facing or gently sloping as such. So this kind of topography in the Great Himalaya is referred as hogback topography. Himalaya is an example of hogback topography because of the asymmetrical slope. Then further as you come to the south of Great Himalayas, you will find the another mountain range that is called as Middle Himalaya. Middle Himalaya, many times they are also referred by other term called as Lesser Himalayas. It is relatively lower in elevation as compared to Great Himalaya. Here average height or altitude is just 3,500 to 4,500 meters. Very good place if you want to build resort, hill stations and all that. That's why in Himalaya, the maximum number of hill stations, resort attracting a lot of tourists from both India and outside, you will find in change Lesser Himalayas. Slightly wider than the Great Himalaya, it is about 70 kilometers wide as such. Now, Great Himalaya is a kind of continuous mountain range, but Lesser Himalaya, Middle Himalaya on the other hand is broken into multiple ranges. So, if you start your journey from west, the first range that you will find is in the region of Jammu and Kashmir. It is called as Purvanchal range. Further, you move to the east in the state of Himachal Pradesh, you will find Dhauladhar range. Then in Uttarakhand, two major mountain ranges are part of Lesser Himalayas. These are Mussoorie range and Nagpur range. Further, the Lesser Himalaya extend in the state, in what you can call as in Nepal, territory of Nepal. In Nepal, the range is referred by the name of Mahabharat Lake. So overall, we can say 5 major ranges are part of Middle Himalayas or Lesser Himalayas. All the major hill stations, Simla, Manali, talk about the Kullu, Mussoorie, these are part of Lesser Himalayas. Then as we move to the further south, the third and the last range of Himalayas called as Outer Himalayas, many times also referred by its popular name of Shiwalik Himalayas. So these are found in the southernmost part. It is the lowermost range of Himalayas in terms of the average height. it is just 1100 meters as such. Lengthwise, it is also extended up to 2400 kilometers roughly from west to east, and width here is varying somewhere between 15 to 50 kilometers. Actually, if you talk about the western part of Shiwalik, it is relatively wide, where width is about 50 kilometers. That means we are talking about the region in Jammu and Kashmir. And if you go to the Arunachal Pradesh, up to where Shiwalik is extended, width becomes narrower and it becomes about 15 kilometers only here as such. Shiwalik itself, as you can see, is broken into multiple fragments. There are several ranges, and in between them you have a lot of transverse valleys that you'll find here. However, Shiwalik is known for a unique structure that is called as Doon, which you'll find here. Doon is also referred by the term of Duars as far as the eastern India is concerned. These are longitudinal valley largely lying between the Lesser Himalayas and the Shiwalik Himalayas. These valleys are having huge significance for the people here because it contains fertile alluvial soil and thus supports a huge variety or wide variety of crop cultivation, thus providing site for agriculture. Then, as the Great Himalayas bend further to the east, it is referred by the name of Purvanchal, as you can see from this particular map here. Purvanchal itself is spread across several states such as Patnaibum, as it is referred as in Arunachal Pradesh. Then it is referred by the name of Naga Hills in the Nagaland, Manipuri Hills in Manipur, and then we have Mizo Hills in the state of Mizoram. So collectively, this entire bend of Himalaya, this part is what we can call as the East Syntaxial Bend. So this entire eastern syntaxial bend of Himalaya is referred by the name of Purvanchal, which is also sharing with the Myanmar for about 1600 kilometers. Purvanchal is relatively low elevation mountain, low elevation hill, and it is largely made up of sedimentary rocks. The major rocks that you find here are limestone and sandstone. Overall, terrain wise, if you look, Purvanchal has a rugged terrain. That means you have deep valleys here and there. The mountain peaks are not very uniform, they're kind of jagged in nature. And in Purvanchal, if someone asks you what is the tallest peak of this region, the answer would be Mount Saramati. Mount Saramati, which is part of the Naga Hills, located in the state of Nagaland along the border of Myanmar, is the tallest peak. Its height is roughly 3,800 meters in elevation as such. So that is the Mount Saramati. Then further, as you come to the north of Himalayas, we have discussed the Himalaya has three major ranges: Great Himalaya, Middle Himalaya, and Outer Himalaya, that is Shiwalik. If you cross Himalayas and go further to the north, what would you find is the several mountain ranges which are collectively referred as the Trans Himalayas. If you talk about Trans Himalaya, it is made up of several ranges. The first of them being Karakoram range. Karakoram is also, we can say, the northernmost range of Trans Himalaya. Karakoram is spread across several countries actually. It starts from Tajikistan, then it passes through Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, and then further is extended all the way up to China. So overall, it is extended for a length or distance of 800 kilometers. The width of this range, however, is much more wider, as we can say, compared to Himalayas. Great Himalaya, I told you, just 15 kilometers wide. Compare that with this Trans Himalaya. It is roughly 100 to 120 kilometers in width as such. Elevation again is quite higher, and here 5,100 meters of average elevation you would see. However, the most notable fact about Karakoram range we have to keep in mind is that it is the largest source of glacier in Himalayas. Himalayas outside of pole contains highest amount of glacier, but within Himalayas, which range has highest number of glacier? Answer would be Karakoram. We can say that 50% of Himalayan glaciers are concentrated in just the Karakoram range itself, and the largest of these are Siachen Glacier, which is also considered as the highest battlefield of the world or military outpost of the world. Then you have several other small size glaciers such as Hispar, Bayafo, Baltoro. This glacier is stretching all the way from the India to Pakistan occupied Kashmir as such. In this range, the tallest peak of India you would find here, it is called as K2. K2 is at elevation of 8,611 meters. The photograph of Mount K2 you can clearly see. It is kind of pyramidal peak, kind of similar to horn like shape you can say because of the glacial erosion. So that is the Mount K2. Then further you come to the south of K2, you will enter into the next range. This is the Ladakh range. Ladakh range is relatively smaller because Karakoram was 800 kilometers long. Ladakh, on the other hand, is just 300 kilometers long mountain. Average elevation, however, is higher than Trans-Himalayas. Here, the average elevation is about 5,800 meters above sea level. Rakaposhi range is further extended in northwestern direction. Rakaposhi is actually part of Karakoram, and from there you have the beginning of Ladakh range, and the Mount Kailash located in Tibetan Plateau, also very significant from religious cultural perspective in Hinduism, Buddhism, and even in Jainism, is Mount Kailash. So it is situated at an altitude of 6,740 meter. It is also considered as the tallest peak of Ladakh and Kailash range. Now, why we are discussing Ladakh and Kailash range together? Because geologically, Kailash is considered as nothing but extended arm, extended part of Ladakh itself. Many geographers also describe it as the offshoot of Ladakh. Kailash is nothing but offshoot of Ladakh. That's why we are calling it or discussing it together. Then the southernmost part of the Trans-Himalaya is what we call as Janskar or Jaskar range. It is roughly 640 kilometers extended mountain from west to east. Average elevation is slightly lower here compared to Karakoram and Ladakh. It is about 3,000 to 5,000 meters. Now, the overall, if you look at the Jaskar range, its boundary is marked by two very important rivers. In the western side, it is the river Suru, which joins Indus River coming from the east. And then on the southern side, you have another river that is called as Karnali River. So, between Suru in the west to Karnali in the east is the extent of Jaskar range. Karnali River is tributary of river Ganga. And then if someone asks you what is the tallest peak in this particular area, in this particular range, it is called as Mount Kamet, 7,756 meter. However, many geographers also argue that it is not Kamet, because Kamet is part of the Himalayas. You cannot consider it as part of Trans-Himalayas. So here you have the other peak that is called as Nunkun. Nunkun is believed to be the tallest peak now in the Trans-Himalaya. In which part? In the Jaskar range. So both Mount Kamet as well as Nunkun peak, you can keep that in mind. Then coming to the hill. Now we have talked about the mountain. Mountains are very high altitude structures, geological structures. However, if you come to the western part of India or northwestern part of India, extending all the way from Gujarat, as you can see from here, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, and then finally terminating in Delhi is a range that is called as Aravalli range. Aravalli range is also considered as the oldest mountain of India, because the oldest rock of Aravallis is believed to be roughly 2.5 billion years old. That means 2,500 million years old as such. However, the recent rock we have found as old as 700 to 900 million years also. But still, even if the youngest rock of Aravallis you consider Himalayas, it is very old, because Himalayas has begun to form in last 30-40 million years only, while this is very old mountain. Overall, it is not very long mountain. It is roughly 800 kilometers as far as its length is concerned, and average elevation is also not very high. Average elevation in most of part is 400 to 600 meters, and if you look in more detail, actually 90% of Aravallis today are less than 100 meters elevation, and remaining 10% is something which is having higher elevation, and it is those regions where you will find the tallest peak of Aravallis called as Guru Shikhar. Guru Shikhar is located in Mount Abu. Mount Abu is a hill station in Rajasthan, state of Rajasthan, and there at the altitude of 1,722 meters, you will find the tallest peak of Aravallis, Guru Shikhar. Interestingly, Guru Shikhar is also the highest point of the entire state of Rajasthan itself. There are several passes also that you will find in Aravallis. For example, you have Devair Pass, you have Desuri Pass, and one of the most notable pass, if you look it from the historical perspective, that you will find here is called as Haldi Ghati. You would have read about the famous battle between Maharana Pratap and Akbar that took place in the Haldi Ghati. So Haldi Ghati is nothing but a pass in the Aravalli range itself as such. So that is the basic facts we have to keep in mind as far as the Aravalli ranges is concerned. Aravalli ranges up to Jaipur, they are very continuous. You can clearly see hill and mountain like a structure if you start your journey from the, if someone asks you what is the southernmost point, so southernmost point is Palanpur. Aravallis start from Palanpur in Gujarat and they go all the way up to Jaipur in a hill like a structure. This kind of terrain, this kind of picture you would see if you move from Palanpur to Jaipur. Beyond Jaipur, they lose their hilly characteristic. They are seen in the form of isolated, residual, very low level hills as such. And they continue all the way up to Delhi. And interestingly, in Delhi, if you look at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, this is India Gate. If you walk in a straight line from India Gate and come here, this is the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So Rashtrapati Bhavan is actually located on the Rayasena Hills, and Rayasena Hill is nothing but part or extension of Aravalli range itself as such. That is very, very interesting fact to keep in mind. Then in the central part of India, as you can see from here, we have the Vindhya range, this part. Vindhya range is a kind of block or fault mountain. Block or fault mountains or hills develop due to the rupture in the earth's crust due to pulling and pushing of earth's crust as such. And it is largely made up of rocks such as sandstone, shale and quartz rock. Limestone is also found in large areas, and that is why cement industry you will find all along the Vindhya range as such. Now, the tallest peak of Vindhya range is believed to be Goodwill Peak, which is situated at an altitude of 2,467 meters. Eastern part of Vindhya is interestingly also referred by the other name. It is referred as Kamur Hills. So Kamur Hill is extension of Vindhya itself as such. Now, Vindhya overall, if someone asks you where is it extended from, so answer would be Vindhya range extending all the way up to 1,200 kilometers. That is the length of this hill. For 1,200 kilometers from Jobat in Gujarat all the way up to Sasaram in Bihar. So from Jobat in Gujarat to Sasaram in Bihar for a distance of 1,200 kilometers. That is the overall extent of the Vindhya ranges as such. Several rivers actually originate from Vindhya also. These are rivers such as Parvati, Kain, Chambal, Betwa, Sindh, and all of these rivers actually go and merge with river Yamuna, and Yamuna carrying water from all these rivers finally and ultimately joins Ganga near Prayagraj. That is the Vindhya range. So as we have discussed, several rivers we have. Banas, actually Banas is coming from Aravalli. Banas is meeting Chambal here. The Chambal river, we have discussed Parvati, Kain, Sindh, Betwa and all that. Then to the south of Vindhyas, actually if you look at it structurally, it is like this. Vindhyas. Then to the south of Vindhyas, you have valley like a structure. It is in this valley you will see flow of a river called as Narmada river, and on the other side you have another mountain range. This mountain range is what we are calling as Satpura range. So you have Satpura, Narmada valley, and then you have Vindhya. Both of these are same type of mountain, that is block or fault mountain. 900 kilometers is the overall length of Satpura. Average elevation is roughly 1000 meters only, and the Satpura range tallest peak you will find is referred as Dhupgarh. Dhupgarh situated at roughly 1350 meters elevation. If you look at 1350 meters elevation in the Satpura range in the state of Madhya Pradesh, you will find Dhupgarh, and this is the tallest peak here. Now also we have to keep in mind the Satpura range is further extended in the east, and eastern part of Satpura is referred by the name of Maikal range. The northern peak of Maikal range is referred as Amarkantak. Amarkantak is at altitude of 1058 meter, and the river Narmada that we have discussed just now flowing in valley between Vindhya and Satpura, it originates from the Amarkantak hill or Amarkantak plateau itself. One other river actually originates from Amarkantak. This is called as river Son. So you can imagine it's like this. You have Amarkantak peak. From the eastern slope of Amarkantak, river Son originate, and flowing in the eastern direction, it joins river Ganga as such. And from the western summit, you have the origin of river Narmada, and Narmada river, while flowing through states of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, it finally drains out in the Arabian Sea. So very, very interesting fact to keep in mind about Amarkantak plateau. Two important rivers originate. One flow to the east, other flow to the west as such. That is the Amarkantak part of Maikal range as such. The central part of Satpura is also referred by the name of Mahadev range, and then to the south you have another small mountain in Maharashtra called as the Ajanta range as such. Between river Satpura and Ajanta, you will see flow of a small river called as Tapi river. Both of these rivers, Narmada and Tapi, are flowing in a rift valley situated between these block or fault mountains. Now coming to the second longest mountain range of India, and that is Western Ghat. The total length of Western Ghat is 1600 kilometers, running parallel to the coast of India, passing through 6 states. In the north, Western Ghat start from the Gujarat. In Gujarat, we can say you have south of Tapi Valley. Tapi river we have just discussed. To the south of Tapi river, you have the beginning of Western Ghat. Then it moves across the Maharashtra. passes through Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and further Kerala as such. Total 6 states it does pass through. The tallest peak of Western Ghat you'll find in the southern region. Southern part of Western Ghat is actually higher in elevation as compared to the northern part. So first we can say the tallest peak or highest peak of Western Ghat is called as Anaimudi. Anaimudi is situated at an altitude of 2695 meter, located in the Anamalai Hills, which is situated in the state of Kerala. Interestingly, if you go further up north, you'll find also here the second tallest peak of Western Ghat. Second tallest peak of Western Ghat is located in the state of Tamil Nadu, near one of the most famous tourist hill station of South India called as Ooty or Udagmandalam. This itself is called as Doda Beta. So Doda Beta, second tallest peak in Tamil Nadu near Ooty, tallest peak is in Anaimudi in Anamalai Hills of Kerala as such. Overall, in the northern part, Western Ghat is relatively having an average elevation of about 1200 meters. Overall, it is a very continuous range except three places. So if I draw Western Ghat like this, two important passes you will find in the state of Maharashtra itself. This is the Western Ghat in Maharashtra. Also, we can say it's part of northern Sahyadri, northern Western Ghat. So one pass is called as Thalghat Pass, and other pass is called as Borghat Pass. So these passes connect Mumbai because city of Mumbai is located here. So from Mumbai to Nashik, it is connected by a Thalghat Pass, and Mumbai to Pune, it is connected via the Borghat Pass. So apart from this, overall it is kind of continuous ranges. All the way you reach up to the southern part where you have Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And this part is called as Nilgiri Hills. Western Ghat, the part where you have Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu border, that section is extended in the eastward direction, referred as Nilgiri Hills. And to the south of Nilgiri Hills, you have the Annamalai Hills. And here you will find another interesting and important pass. This is called as Palghat Pass, also referred as Palakkad Gap many times. So three major passes you have to keep in mind in the entire Western Ghat: Thalghat, Borghat in Maharashtra, and Palghat or Palakkad Ghat in the border areas of Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu as such, except that mountain range is kind of continuous mountain range as such. Western Ghat is also known for its huge biodiversity. It is considered as one of the biodiversity hotspot, not only in India, but also across the world as such. And this Western Ghat is considered to be even older than Himalayas. It has formed due to faulting activities due to the break of Indian plate when it was moving or continuing its journey toward north after splitting from Gondwana land. Then it further split from Africa. Further, it also split from Madagascar. So during this entire geological and tectonic process, we see a kind of break of the Indian plate that caused this western part to rise up. The other part got submerged, subducted below the sea as such. That is the origin of Western Ghat. Now, the next we have is on the eastern coast of India, extending all the way from the state of Odisha, extending up to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka border, is the Eastern Ghat Hills or Eastern Ghat Range. Eastern Ghat, compared to Western Ghat, it is relatively a very discontinuous range, we can say. Why? Because I told you that except three places in Western Ghat, Thalghat, Borghat and Palghat, it is a continuous range. There is no discontinuity, no big gap as such. Eastern Ghat on the other hand have large scale discontinuities. Lengthwise it is slightly longer, 1750 kilometers, but again keep in mind this is not a continuous length as such. That's why the second longest mountain range is Western Ghat. This is the spread of this mountain range. In between, at many places, mountains or hills completely disappears. That's why 1750 kilometers, that is not length, that is the extent up to which this ghat is spread across. It is starting from Odisha. In Odisha, the Western Ghat is known by the name of Malia Konda Range. Malia Konda Range. In Malia Konda Range, the tallest peak that you'll find, one of the most notable peak of Western Ghat, is called as Mahendragiri. So Mahendragiri in Odisha, in Malia Konda Range, at an altitude of 1501 meter, is the most important peak of the northern part of Eastern Ghats. Then here you have several other hill ranges also. For example, you will find here Buffalo Mali, Panchpatamali. Then you have also Niyamgiri, Niliamgiri. All these hills are very important from mineral perspective as well, because large volume of bauxite reserves are found in this area. Further, as you come to the south, you have other range that is called as Madhugula-Konda range. Madhugulu-Konda range is the name given to Eastern Ghat in the state of Andhra Pradesh, more specifically the northern Andhra as such. And it is in this range you will find the tallest or highest peak of Eastern Ghat. The highest peak is called as Jindhagada peak at 1690 meters. Nearby itself, another important peak you will find here. This is called as Aravalli peak. Aravalli peak is slightly smaller than Jindhagada. The total height is roughly 1680 meters. 1690 Jindhagada, 1680 you have the Aravalli peak as such. So that's the point. Then apart from that, we also have extension in the Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu Eastern Ghat is referred by several different names. For example, in Tamil Nadu it is called as, for example, referred as Javadi Hills. Then further you have Shevaroy Hills, and then along the border of Karnataka, the hill is called as Bilgiri Rangana Hills as such. So all of these are part of Eastern Ghat itself. What is the important point you have to keep in mind here? That between the Eastern Ghat, two major rivers are flowing in the state of Andhra Pradesh. One is Godavari, other is Krishna. Now, if you look at this stretch of Eastern Ghat between Godavari and Krishna river, there is no hill as such. So Eastern Ghat completely disappear. They completely loses their hilly characteristic between Godavari and Krishna, possibly due to continuous erosion carried out by these rivers as such. Only to the north of Godavari and south of Krishna, hilly character of the river, hilly character of this mountain Eastern Ghat is clearly and completely visible as such. That is the other important mountain range, which is Eastern Ghat. So that's all what we have to study as far as the major mountain systems of India is concerned. I hope you understood about the basic facts, and based on whatever facts we have discussed, many times UPSC asks questions. It can be either factual question, it can be also map based, location based question, because UPSC also is trying to understand how aware you are as far as India's physiography, India's major divisions as well as India's major physical structure is concerned. That's all. Thank you very much.